Greetings, this is Coach Charlene. Welcome to When the Moment Chooses You. I'm excited. We're going to go into a clip with Dr. Jean Watson, and I am extremely excited because in here, you will recognize that practitioners today, nurses, healthcare workers today cannot afford to not work on themselves because when they don't work on themselves, they affect the whole. And so tune into this clip and you're going to hear a powerful conversation that Dr. Jean Watson and I had that is absolutely transformative. Well, and I like how you talked about that dichotomy of positive, negative, joy, sadness.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because if you really think about the last 2 years have been extremely challenging.
Yes.
But on the other side,
Yes.
it's been quite lovely.
Yes.
And so I can't explain that phenomena, but I'm experiencing it.
Well, it's all one. It's all one, you know?
Yes.
It's like pain and joy side by side. They're all one.
And yes. And, Curitas process number 5
yes.
has been so powerful, especially over the last 2 years.
Yes.
I was able to do some listening sessions and allow negative expressions and positive to live together, which I thought brought transformation. So I've been able to even use these Curitas processes in EID work, equity, inclusion, and diversity.
Yes.
And so it's been so profound.
Yes, exactly.
Because when you can listen to another person's story, which is really what the caring moment is, it's so powerful. So I just think there's a cutting edge opportunity for this connection so that we can see another human being beyond their face.
Exactly. And every single human being in the world needs to be seen. Every single human needs to be heard. Every single person in the world needs to know they matter and what they have to say matters and what they're experiencing matters. And when we are able to listen and hold that sacred space to hear another person's story, it maybe helps them to hear themselves for the first time because they're so busy with all the inner scripts. That you just hold that silent space. It's a very powerful gift of healing. And also it's a reminder that their story could be our story.
Yes.
Everyone is connected to everybody else. So one person's level of humanity reflects on the other. So if we are pushing down another person, we're also pushing down ourselves. It's that mutuality of oneness that is really a healing gift for all of us.
Well, so I have a question about the last few years, since I keep referring to it. I know a lot of my colleagues, a lot of my nurses are at the breaking point. And I'm just wondering, is there anything that you can help us and encourage us with?
Well, we're at a crossroads. We're at a really critical crossroads. You know, it takes about 100 years for a profession to mature and come of age as a distinct discipline in its own right. And we're at that critical turning point. We're either going to be very good technicians and conform to the dominance system that's going to change because humanity's changing, or we're going to be mature practitioners of care and healing and health. And we're at that cutting edge. And right now, for hospitals that are actually creating space for nurses to advance their care and healing and health practices, there's the ones that are able to retain nurses, allow nurses to practice their own profession, and allow them to have career options to advance, gives them purpose and meaning when they have a theory, a philosophy, a value system that affirms them and confirms why they're even there. Those are the systems that are going to keep nurses. Those that are not, the nurses are leaving. And maybe they need to leave. We need to leave because it's like a disruptive time. And when you have this disruption, you have to have something new creating. But the history of not just these last 2 years, but the history of hospitals and nursing has been really to fix it up by externally or scripting or doing these kind of false inauthentic practices without any consciousness of how it's affecting the people in the system. But the change has to come from the human spirit, of the creativity of the humans in the system. And we have to invite them in with purpose and meaning and a structure of such as a theory or explicit value system or language that help them define and actualize their phenomena that they've been practicing on the side, on ad hoc, all these years. And now suddenly they have to have permission to actually advance that, because we have to have the balance of caring and healing and health as a dialectic with medical science and intervention. So the systems have all been oriented toward these technical medicalization of our institutions. Now we have to bring the humans back in and humanize it. But we can't do it by just kind of giving false, sugarcoating it.
Yes.
It has to be an authentic change that invites the people for their own change. And that's where the theory, like you say, you went through this yourself, and that changed you. And when you change individually, you're changing the system. We're in a quantum universe. So if any one part changes, it's going to affect the whole. And so this is a challenge and a wonderful opportunity for nursing to give voice, language, and informed moral action to a new way of being and actually practicing and becoming, to help the system as well as themselves and the patients and society. And it radiates all the way out.
Yeah, it reminds me of something that you said in one of your books about really we educate, we research who we are.
Yes.
And so as a caregiver, it's critical for me to do the work, the spiritual work, the personal work. And I think that my journey has been, I'm going to be the best human being that I can be. And so when Caring Science came in, it gave me the language, the practices to be able to execute while I'm at work. And so it's been so fulfilling, because when you can touch a life and it transform a moment, oh my God, it's amazing. The miracle story that happened when I kind of awakened.
I remember that.
The little boy is 10.
Oh my goodness.
And he's doing phenomenal.
Oh.
And so that family still keeps in touch, even though I don't really keep in touch as much.
Yes.
It's beautiful to transform our heart.
Absolutely.
And to actually believe enough.
Yes.
Like just this one part with this miracle story. I don't think that I would have done what I did if I didn't know Caritas Process 10 to be open for miracles. And so I really believe if we can get this more integrated into our systems, really integrate it, really put the money toward it to get the nurses what they need, then we will save our profession.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I heard you talk about the 7 sutras.
The 7 sutras.
That is rich, because in December, I got to another low point. I had just finished my master's, was feeling burnt out again. And then you pop up with these 7 sutras.
Oh, bless your heart.
It was perfect, though, because it gave language to what I had to do without knowing that. So I took some time off and I was silent. I got still. And in that stillness became clarity. And so share with us those 7 sutras for me.
Well, this emerged in the middle of the night. I woke up because I was working on a new edition of Caring Science is Sacred Science. Like, well, why is it, really, it is sacred. And I thought, well, I'm doing this work now again, and I've never shared what are my sacred practices. And in that first book, I had mentioned the word sutras, and sutra is actually a very ancient concept from Indian philosophy, and it's highly like 1 or 2 words that are highly charged with spiritual meaning and energy, but they're not the word itself. They're pointing towards something even deeper that's beyond like the God consciousness, so to speak. So I woke up like, well, what are my sutras? What are my practices? And that's when I named them. Just stillness. Just being still just be still. is so powerful. And then you have silence. And if you're really silent in that stillness, it is so powerful because you can almost hear the roar of silence. And then you're in solitude to experience this, because away from all the scripts in the outer world of oppression, chaos. And then you hear spirit, and then you're guided. And then from that, you have simplicity to really hone down what's really important and kind of let go of that which is cluttering our mind and our work. And then from there, it's service, and it's sacred service. And that's what nursing offers, is sacred service to humanity. And then from that, it's surrender, because we don't have all the answers. So those are my sutras. And actually, I'm doing a book now of a collection of sutras that nurses are sharing their sutra practices as their self-caring, as their way to sustain their connection with spirit, or that which is greater than ourselves, because this work is greater than ourselves. We're here to, holding another person's life in our hands and holding our own life in our hands. So it's a beautiful reminder that caring science is sacred science, but we have to have our own individual practices.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I was doing those and didn't know I was doing those. And that's when I read them, I was like, oh my God, here we go again. But the good news about this is no matter where you are, no matter how dark it's gotten, there is light. And all you have to do is tap into this wonderful theory to feed and nourish your soul, so that you can be your authentic self. I know you enjoyed that clip as much as I did. What I'd like you to do, if this really resonated with you or you were inspired by this clip, I would love for you to give me a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. And also, why don't you comment? Tell me about your takeaways from this short clip. In addition to that, go on over to my YouTube page and watch the whole interview, and you'll see this dynamic visionary tell us about where she thinks we are in healthcare. Talk to you soon.